Go live. Hey, welcome everybody to the Between Two Wheels podcast. This is episode, I don't know what this is, maybe 180, 181, but whatever. We're following up 181. Mark is on it. He's
keeping track.
He's number one fan for this week. Mark Tucker, great to have you back. We're going to talk about your exploits in Georgia. We're going to talk about a few other things I'll throw at you as well. Look, just so you know, you got your Velo Kings shirt on. And for anybody who wants out there, if anybody wants me to pimp your shirt, send it my way. Just get in contact with me and I'll wear it. You sent me two of them. I really appreciate it. I wore the gray one and I spilled some food on it on my little vacation. So, but
well, I spilled on my white one, so I need to get a gray one from Richard from the warehouse. So.
Well, I tell him thanks, by the way, for sending that. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
So you went out to Georgia. You made the whole trip. We talked to you and Sean about it, and it sounds like you had some good results out there. So why don't you just walk through this since no one else is doing anything else? Well, you know, we'll get there. Let's tease a little bit. Before we do that, I know I saw that Nationals is canceled. We had mentioned that. I know you're hunkering down for that. What's your feeling about hearing that news? Or am I breaking news?
No, oh my gosh, I didn't hear that. No, I actually did hear it, and it didn't come as a huge surprise. I mean, I was disappointed, but not surprised, kind of a thing. And so, you know, that's just, I guess, the way it is. And so I don't know if there's 2-year terms or how that's going to work. Or my question was, since I don't have stars and stripes, what that means to the state champions as far as wearing our jerseys next year and, you know, registration discounts. And I don't mind paying for registrations, but I was just kind of curious what that all means.
Sure, of course. So
you don't have answers for me.
I don't have answers for you. I could look into that. I'll see what I could do. You know, work's starting to amp up a little bit. I actually have paying clients. Maybe I'll do this as well.
Hey.
So yeah, that's a bummer. There was another race I saw you were inquiring about too. What was the other one that you were looking at?
Sea Otter.
Sea Otter. There you go. Sea Otter busted down too.
Yeah. And I guess they announced that yesterday, and I just happened to post kind of I put like a Ferris Bueller meme that said, like, you know, Sea Otter, October 1st through 4th, and someone commented, "Dude, it got canceled today." I'm like, oh, well, there's two gut shots in one day. So.
Right. You may have done the last race of the year. So let's talk about Georgia. You went out there. Let's talk about the environment first of all. So you fly out there, you have other riders and everything. How was the trip? And then what was the environment of just doing that?
Yeah, the trip was super easy. I mean, LA traffic's not really LA traffic right now. So drove down from Fresno and caught a direct flight, met up with Sean or drove down with Sean and met up with couple, 3 of his teammates from Evoke Racing that were going down. And so we all kind of, you know, transitioned there together and got into Atlanta and rental cars, 1.5 hours to northeastern Georgia. And it looked like, it reminded me a lot of The Walking Dead. I'm like, hey, that's right. I think they film it in Georgia.
Right.
So,
right.
You know, first time there, travel was easy, uneventful. I think Delta, I heard the flight attendants say they were only booking the flight to 80% capacity. So I had a buffer seat on each side of me, and we wore our masks like we were all told. And they still gave us, like, you know, Cheez-Its and a little thing of water, but you didn't take your mask off to eat. But, you know, travel was easy. No big deal.
So you get there, you guys, you know, do a little riding around or meet up and get ready for this thing. The atmosphere in Georgia, was it any different than you can see in California? And maybe I should say California before you left, because you come back and it's a little bit more locked down. I was just telling you, I decided, this is with the family a while ago. We're like, let's get out of town. Let's go to a little bit more freedom. Let's go to Nevada. So we show up out there, and when we get there, the governor had locked everything down for mass. And just a side story. So it had happened. We're in this casino, and we're going to a restaurant, and we're sitting down there and we're drinking. And they come up to you and they're like, "Hey, you need to wear a mask." And I just read the rules, and I'm like, well, it says if we're sitting down, we don't have to wear the mask. And then the security guy comes over to me. Now I've got to, right?
Such an attorney. Yeah.
I know. So I was nice to him because, you know, it's all kind of new for them. And I'm like, hey, you know, I know you're a private business. You can go above and beyond what the order is, but are you enforcing the order, or are you enforcing your own? Because they legitimately wanted you to take a drink and then pull it down and then put it back up. And then So if you can, people were walking around with cups like this, so stupid. Then they laid off on us. So my story aside, what was the atmosphere when you got there,
Yeah,
as far as the people?
Georgia versus California. California is a big state,
Right.
and so there's, Fresno is probably a lot more like northern Georgia than, San Francisco is, or maybe LA. Everyone had their masks on when we landed in the airport, and it was funny because everyone's getting ready to deplane, and some people were sitting right next to other people the whole time, and everyone's getting in the aisle to get their bags out and stuff, and flight attendant comes on and says,
no.
Okay, now let's remember to social distance when we deplane. And I'm thinking, yeah, we're making it look good for the camera. Like, why are we trying to 6 feet ourselves when we've been sitting, 2.5 feet or right next to each other for 4.5 hours? But so
That's the way it is.
Yeah, got to northern Georgia, and really the only people that were always wearing masks were like the food servers at restaurants. Other than that, that was the extent of the COVID side of things.
Gotcha.
So,
well,
yeah.
Before we go, so I saw some pictures. It looks like some officials were wearing masks. So did they make you, registration line, wear mask, social distance, and then at the start line, or were there? Because we've seen with the NCNCA, they're asking about a survey about what you would do. So I was just curious what they implemented for the race itself.
Yeah, it was in the race Bible that masks would be required, and they were going to try to social distance before you lined up. And then you could take your masks off. And I think that fell into more of a voluntary category at that point. And I'll just kind of leave that there because there's a part 2 coming up, and I don't want to say anything to potentially derail part 2 from happening. So
yeah, no problem. Okay, so let's get to the racing. Moving. Do you want me to cut that? So let's get to the race. Let's get to the racing. I know we had talked about this, and I put your expectations pretty high. You've gone through it, and we'll go through each stage and such. But did you feel it immediately, like, okay, I'm fine, or did you really any apprehension, or how'd you accustom yourself to being a big dog out there?
I didn't feel like a big dog out there. There were some really strong guys in my field and in the 50 plus. Also, I raced the 40 plus. So we raced 40, 50s combined, but scored separate. And
gotcha.
There's a YouTube video of the Curt floating out there that Sean did with his patented, voiceover stuff. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
So, but it just felt as strong, or maybe even stronger to a degree, the level of competition out there versus NorCal. So
good.
It wasn't like wow, here's some guy from the big city coming out here and he's gonna beat us down. No, I got beat down pretty good. So
so what was the field size? Because I'm just trying to look at the results on, like, it looks like about 20 or so in your field. About this 25 or so in the 50 plus. Is that kind of what so about a combined 50?
Something like that. I don't know how, because supposedly the 50s and 40s both sold out, and so they were going to limit it to 25 each. And so I don't know if they had more demand for 50s, and so but I think the 50s only had 25, or guys no showed, or what happened. But yeah, it was I think some guys raced individual races. Not everyone did the omnium, and so I think omnium, I don't know how many guys finished at 19 or 20. It sounds about right. So
gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because, this COVID time, everyone's out, a lot of people are actually riding more, I think, than not. So I was curious when I started to do group rides again, what this level of fitness, my fitness had been going up, but how, if everyone else was just dramatically, I'm seeing these, like you've done some of these insane rides out there. So maybe that's part of it, right? Everyone that shows up was been off the bike and ready to go. And, Masters guys with the 40s and 50s, they start to have the kids out the door, and they even have more time. So it was good to hear that the competition was good.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of probably very fit riders, but also some really experienced riders. Some guys that have, competed at, national level, Olympic level, those kinds of things. I think there was a couple guys in the 50 plus that would kind of fit both categories, but guys were just a lot smarter racers than me too. So my fitness is there, but my Scarecrow Wizard of Oz mentality of needing a brain still applied pretty good.
Well, that's good. Look, the one of the first steps is admitting your problems and then being able to learn from them as well. So which race did you have first, and what time of the day did your race go off? First one.
Yeah. So we got there Thursday evening, unpacked the bikes, and went and rode the course before they had barricades and cones set up, and thought, man, this thing's going to be really fast, because it was kind of a rolling downhill into turn 1, and it kind of a gradual climb out into turn 2, and then it kind of topped out at turn 3, and then it was kind of a steep turn 4 that, you know, I thought it's like a 4-lane road turning right onto I'll call it a 4-lane road with like bike lanes equivalent and stuff. I'm like, man, we'll be able to take this thing full gas. And then, you know, we get there for the crit Friday night, and we look at where they have all the barricades and cones set up, and you know, that turn 4 that was a downhill and then a right-hander, they had it coned off to 1-lane entry and 2 lanes with metal barricade on the exit on the outside. So it's like San Rafael turn 4, but metal barricade instead of cones.
Wow.
Or instead of hay bales. So
right.
But it raced well, and you know, we lined up and you know, took a free lap, and then got to the line. I made the mistake of I guess taking the warm-up lap, because I ended up lined up pretty far to the back, and whistle goes off, and it was a short course too. I think it was like only 0.6 miles or something. And so we were saying, you know, last year guys got away and they ended up lapping the field, and that should have been my warning to, you know, post up at the line for the start, but you know, didn't do that, and it went hard right out of the gun, and I never saw the front of the race. There was 4 guys that got away, all 40 plus guys, and there was only me and I think one other guy were trying to motivated to try to pull it back, and weren't able to do that. So
yeah, so it looks like here you got if I'm looking at this right, this is the crit first, right? You got 6th on that day.
Yeah. So
okay.
So the first 4 guys.
Go ahead.
I said the first 4 guys, I never saw them, and so they were out front, and they not only, you know, stayed away to finish, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, but they racked up. I think there was like 5, 3, 1 bonus points for the omnium.
Oh, okay.
And so the guy that won the crit, I think, yeah, but there's his name, Kramer or
Andrew Crater.
I think he got all 15. Came across the line first for all 3 bonus laps, and so he had a huge lead after the crit, and so I was, you know, frustrated that no one really wanted to try to bring back the break, and so I tried to kind of go full gas on the last lap, and try to drop Bart and Sean Bagley, the boat guys, off, and it worked out for them because they were able to get first and third in their field. So
so you, in a sense, since you're racing together, but yet scored separately, you actually took advantage and did well for the field yourself, but then helped them out. That's very nice. That's very hefty. Yeah. Hefty work.
They paid for dinner. It was good.
Well, there you go. How was the prize money? Or are they doing any of it for each separate, or how does that?
No. Prize money only for P123.
Okay.
Men and women. That was the only prize money they paid out. So which is fine.
That's tough to pay for your flight with no prize money. I'm sure that you were dependent on that. Sorry.
I think it's tough to play, you won the P123. So
yeah. Okay.
I said I think it would be tough to pay for the flight even if you won the P12. So.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. No, I'm joking. You know how that's bike racing, right? We don't, and if you're in it at this, even especially at our level to get prizes and stuff, your life needs some reworking. Okay. So you had the crit and those guys got off, you know, that's an interesting point there because you've got, they took off right away. It looks like they stayed away and had like almost a minute at the finish. So tight technical races will do that to you. That's another learning one for your cap there. Okay, so you had the road race. Okay, noted. Yeah, I'm not your coach though. So then what was next? Was that Friday?
So it was Friday night. So then Saturday morning they called it. I think it was 6 laps, and it was pretty climby. And you know, it was kind of downhill and rollers the first half, and then had a pretty decent finishing climb. About 2K of finishing climb, 6 or 8%, and I lined up right on the very front because I wasn't gonna, make the same mistake as the crit. And the race went off, and I got in a breakaway with one guy on I think for about a full lap, and he just wasn't quite pulling his weight, and just said, "I'm sorry, man. I'm this and that." I'm like, "That's all right. Let's ease up and let him bring us back, but kind of make him work for it a little bit." And so I just got the wrong guy when I went. And I think the race, if I remember right, pretty much stayed together. And I was first wheel with 2K to go. I was first wheel with 1K to go, and I cracked really hard with about 500 meters to go, and I just started moving backwards. I think I got 13th on the 40 plus side. So I got passed by a lot of guys at the end, but it was super humid, and it was just spirited racing.
Interesting. We'll talk about the humidity out. So I'll just break. Yeah, you got 13th. It looks like here, and you were 149.23. The winner was 148.10. I don't know if there was any bonus time, but so inside a minute. That's a decent crack points on the. Okay, that's a decent little crack going on there for. So up until were you?
Well, it was a climb too. So
no, I totally. And I was just gonna say, were you scaling this climb each lap? Is that part of it?
Yeah, I was a little hypoxic, and I was talking to the guys after the race, and I was like, yeah, I rode my big ring the whole time except for the finishing climb, and they're like, dumbass, we rode our small rings up the climb, except for the finishing climb, and then they went big rings. So I kind of did it backwards there.
Right. That's all. It
was a fun race.
How was the humidity for you?
I've never sweated so much. I've been hotter. Being in Fresno and trying to get heat acclimated. I was purposely trying to ride in 107, 109 degree weather in the afternoons leading up to it. So I was good that way, but I've never had like my fingertips sweat before. Like everything sweated. It was hardcore.
All right. So did they have the road race and then the time trial the same day? Is that correct?
Yeah. So the circuit / road race was in the morning. And then that afternoon on the same course, the start, you went down 3.5 miles and then turned around. It was kind of an uphill return. So it was like 7.5 miles, I think, on the time trial with kind of an uphill effort on the return.
Okay, so tell us about that time trial, because you had mentioned last show when you did this that you were taking the stuff and your time trial stuff to put on your aero bars, and that therefore you were not going to be able to participate in this 30-second bonus for just going Mercs, right? And it sounds like it paid off. So break that down for us. And how was the bike swap? You had plenty enough time between the morning and the afternoon to fix this bike up and no breaks. Okay.
Yeah. I think we finished around 11:15, 11:30. Went back to the hotel 12:30, and as soon as I got done with the circuit race, I put an extra layer of PR lotion on my legs and tried to kind of rehydrate and do whatever magic potions and nutrition stuff, and got back out to the now time trial course around 3 that afternoon. And I had time to put my aero bars on, and I took my bottle cages off, and I had we actually had a guy that Daryl Halpern, he wasn't racing, but he came out with us for his son. And so it was incredible because he was there to hand bottles to me and to the other guys in both road races. And he's a pretty experienced guy, high level racer. So he was helping me get my skin suit on, and he's like, "Hey, do you want aero booties?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's everything I can get." And so had everything on and start time and went off and just went as hard as I could down and turned around and chugging up. And I thought the finish was further. I should have paid more attention on my computer on the turnaround to know. But I'm like, oh crap, the finish is right there. That climb wasn't so bad after all on the return. And I was in the sticks, putting down like 600 watts, trying to get up to the end and cross the line, and results came out and I won the stage by 2 seconds. So and I think I was the only person in my field that didn't get the 30-second time bonus. So Yeah,
Oh,
it worked out, but barely by literally 2 seconds.
so you actually beat them by 32, I guess, right? Is that kind of the
Yeah.
thing? And then okay. Yeah, because it's pretty close throughout. So I would imagine, I mean, you tell me, you think the arrow made a difference enough that was worth it?
Um, I think so, but I don't know. I mean, I would tend to say no, because if you're the only guy doing it, it must not be the right move. I mean, the P12 guys had proper TT rigs, and there were some guys floating around, and who knows, a couple of guys in the field I was in might have had TT bikes, but I didn't have a choice. So
Yeah.
so all bets are off, and so I'll make it as TT as I could.
So you do well. You obviously win the time trial. Congratulations. And now how's the Omnium look for you at that point going into the last day?
Yeah, so I'm in fourth place going into the final stage, 1 point out of third place. First place was pretty much locked up. I mean, the guy, I keep saying Kramer, but the guy that won the crit, his points were with bonus points. I think he got there was 1 KOM on the circuit race, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got that KOM points as well. So it was pretty much like, well, maybe I can move up into third place, possibly second, but kind of doubtful. And so that was kind of my mindset going into the road race on Sunday.
And how was that course? Describe that one for us.
It was Berkeley Hills road race, kind of a tiny thing.
Okay.
I mean, it was shorter. It was 62 miles, but it was 5,400 feet of climbing. So,
okay, yeah, gotcha.
I mean, it wasn't Berkeley, but there were some long, 4-minute efforts that shadowed the field pretty good.
That was raced as well with the 50s?
Yeah, combined. That was raced combined. Yep. I got they did a KOM on one of the climbs on the second lap, and so I was able to move up, and I got three KOM points. I got second across the KOM line, and then I just thought, well, I'm just going to mark the guy ahead of me, and so that forced me to race kind of smarter instead of just sitting on the front the whole time. But on the downhills, I feel like what's wrong with being on the front if you're not pedaling?
Right.
And because I can get pretty aero on my bike, and sit in the top tube and chest across the tops, and about halfway through, I heard Sean and the other guys yell, "Tucker, get the hell off the front!" And so I'm like, yeah, noted, I hear you. But yeah, I rode it, and I made the final break. I think it broke it into like there was like 8 of us or 9 of us, and with like 8 miles to go on the last lap, I just wasn't pulling through. I tried to let a couple of attacks go of guys that, the guy that was in first, like, yeah, I want him to get first and take all those points off the table for anyone else. And so I did that, and ended up being a 4-man break going up the road with like 6 miles to go or something. And they got a 25-30 second gap, and then I just sat on the other guy's wheel that was 1 point ahead of me in the start, and just kind of blasted around him with 50 meters to go. And if I would have, I guess if I would have just gone a little sooner, there was one other guy I could have picked off that was just kind of soft pedaling in. It would have gave me the point I needed, because I ended up tied for third place at the end of the race. And tie doesn't go to the KOM points or to the TT winner. Apparently it goes to the guy that finishes higher in the final stage. And the other guy finished higher in the final stage. So fourth place in the GC. That's
pretty good. And we'll talk about that. So this road race, it almost looks like a repeat of stage 1, because the same guy, the Crater Lake guy, Andrew Crater ends up winning that with Greg Thompson, some of these Messer, some of these same guys. So and once again, you're 6th. So well done. Yeah. And you've raced in Masters solo, and well, I mean, you have a team, but there's always different categories. And my first experience kind of doing the Masters was you're out here, and some you don't have a team because, I was like the only Masters guy on my team, and you're racing against like a Pete's or whomever, and they send one guy up the road. Well, you chase that down, and then they equally a good national champion on this side, and they just keep sending them, and you don't know who to follow. And so you kind of luck into it. And obviously you've done that enough where, this is kind of, you don't know these riders as well, although you're getting to know them a little bit better here. So the Omnium itself, is it continue over to the next part 2 then as well? And it's an overall over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe one of these guys doesn't make it.
Yeah, I'm selfishly hoping, but who knows? I think the guy Crater was from like South Carolina, so he didn't have much of a drive, I think, to get. And I think his wife and daughter both raced also, and I think like they finished 1-2 in the women's or something. So they're like a racing family.
Yeah, they are. Are your family, are they interested in racing? Maybe you can get them out there too.
No, they could care less.
That's the way it goes.
They just let me do my thing. Yeah.
So there was the Pro 1-2s were out there. Anybody of note that you saw that like anybody from the West went out there for this? Anybody else you know?
Some of the names that I've heard, like on the USA Crit Series and amateur nationals and those kinds of things. You could probably scan the results and maybe pick out some of those. I don't remember the specifics, but Sean and Bart and some of those guys are like, oh yeah, there's so and so, and like, I think I've heard that name before. So yeah, it was fun to watch. Those guys were railing that turn 4 in the crit, and it was fun to watch. It was great setup. So yeah, P12 was good to watch.
So it looks like they were letting them. I mean, when you saw the video of someone, I think Sean or you had posted a video of the pros coming through like that one of those corners, and I was counting, and it looked like it was maybe 25, but they definitely had more. I mean, especially the last day road race, it looks like it's upwards of 65 out there. So pretty good amount of people that showed up for at least the P12 race, P123.
Yeah, the P123s sold out, I think, first out of all of the races. So probably the highest level of demand for that one. And, maybe that's why we didn't have as many 40 plus, because I think the USA Cycling Permitting had like a total number cap and then maybe not a field cap, because if there were 63 guys, then maybe they just, I don't know how that worked. But
well, it looks like they were pulling, there must have been, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that the P12 is sold out already for part 2.
Round 2. So I'm just looking at the results here. They looks like they placed 27. I'm just back to the crit and what the video was showing. Oh, not a big turnout, but there was 27 guys they placed, and then it looks like half the field maybe they just pulled. So you're talking about a short course. There's getting gaps. You're going to start getting lapped riders, pulling them out of there. It's a little bit more dangerous situation. That makes a little more sense. So I get
definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so what's your thinking of? Well, first of all, what was kind of the conversation of different riders out there about their experiences with getting back into racing and the officials? And I saw them interviewing some people. I guess they didn't interview you. What's up with that?
I know, right? I refused. I said I have an exclusive with Between Two Wheels podcast.
Thank you.
I think that. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I think they only interviewed the P12s.
Okay.
They were the last race of the night on the crit, and so I don't think we stuck around for the interviews. I just saw them on Facebook. Afterwards. So yeah.
But how was the experience as far as talking to officials, just people around there about getting this? Was there some apprehension? Were they kind of everyone excited about it? What's kind of your take on that?
I think everyone was just excited to be racing their bikes, and I think everyone kind of treated it like this could be the last race of 2020 for a lot of people. I mean, there wasn't a lot of talk about COVID or anything else. Everyone just showed up to kind of throw it down, and it just felt like another bike race, but it felt like a bigger bike race than, I don't know, a San Ardo road race or, one of those. That's kind of how it was for everyone. Not a lot of chit chat. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't talking to them or they weren't talking to me. I, BS with a couple of guys,
right?
Sitting on the front, rolling out or whatever. But trying to get more insight on the road race was actually where they did their Georgia State Champ road race. So that was the course.
So it sounds like
anyway,
it was a worthy. It sounds like it was a worthy course. Are they going to be reusing some of these for part 2?
Yeah. So part 2, July 24, 5, and 6. Same format. It looked like on the flyer for part 2 that they added an Elite 2-3 field. So maybe to try to get some overflow for the P1-2s. I guess they wouldn't be eligible for the double omnium since there wasn't that field in part 1.
Right.
But as far as the course goes, the crit is going to be the opposite direction. And so turn 1 is going to be sketchy instead of turn 4, I guess, or we'll see how it goes. I'm going to definitely write it the night before, just to kind of get a feel for it. But I think the crit's so that's the crit. The circuit race, I think, is going to be the same. The road race was not supposed to be that venue. That was a backup venue because the school that they were going to stage the road race for wouldn't allow the permitter. Apparently, they just didn't answer the phone. They never got back to them. So
gotcha.
kind of a Georgia state of mind or something. It's like, hey, our school's closed. Why am I going to check my voicemail? So
right.
If they can get that permitted, it will be a different road race course. I'm kind of hoping it is. Although I did well on it, so it just kicked your butt pretty good. You were glad when it was over, kind of a road race.
So it sounds like to me you've cleared it with the wife. You're going back to round 2. Is that? I mean, it sounds like it. Yeah.
I'm registered, flight, hotel, car. Someone cancels it, I'm going to be upset because I don't know how much of those funds will be recouped. I'll have a store credit for Delta Airlines for just a time, and maybe I'll go anyway if it gets canceled. But everything that I'm hearing from some of the Florida Velo guys, which was a big team that came out, and I guess they do this race a lot, was chatting with them on Facebook is, oh no, it's happening. So trying to get some of the Evoke guys to come back in and split up the rental car costs that way. So.
Good. Yeah, I'm only saying, part 2, you never know, because I mean things are changing all the time, so who knows what's going on. But good deal for you. I'll be interested to see. So you don't know if the Evoke guys are going back, Sean? I don't know if he was planning on it as well.
Yeah, I'm still poking him. Kind of like, come on, Sean. Okay. Here, I broke it down for him. Like, here's how much it is, and we can if we need to double rack hotels or however. I don't know if it's scheduling or what, but and I hope I'm not speaking out of school. If I am, sorry, Bart, but I think Bart's coming back, and I think one of the other Evoke guys is going to come back too. So we all had a great time. I mean, it was a lot of fun, even if it wasn't a limited race calendar and I had other options. I would have had no regret about doing this one.
Yeah, so. Good to hear. So a few quick questions here. You'd mentioned about credit and stuff like that. Had you already paid or got anything reserved for Sea Otter and or Nationals?
Sea Otter, yes. Yeah, I registered on March. I'm the guy that registers first. Okay. Because then I like to go on road results and see race predictor, and I'm at the top because I'm the only one there.
The only one there? Yeah.
So, I feel like if guys register, the more guys that register, the more guys are going to register. And so I'm not afraid to go first. So, I mean, I pretty much registered for every race in March, in late February, as soon as they opened bike reg. I think Cat's Hill became a donation after that one got canceled.
Well, that's kind of my curiosity is on Sea Otter and some of these nationals or whatever. Is it just a donation then at this point?
Sea Otter and update, I think, on July 17th. So as far as so they rolled our the default was if you paid and registered when it got postponed, then it would automatically roll to the October dates. So I don't know if it'll default if you don't do anything, or you could have requested a refund. So they were in a refunding frame of mind the first time they postponed. I don't know if that will change if it rolls into the new year. I just registered for the circuit race because I like doing the Laguna Seca racetrack thing.
Right.
I didn't like the road race, so it's $45 or whatever it is.
Right.
And,
this is more of a public
to a worthy cause. If it was Velo Promo, I'd feel better.
this is more of a public service inquiry than actually worried about your finances. So I'm sure you're doing fine. Okay. You said it's like a big deal when you're going out there. I remember when I was first getting into racing, unlike you, it was where I grew up in the Northwest, they didn't have a lot of races around there. So you'd do like maybe, 3 or so a year, and you'd have to travel to these. So every race was a big deal. And that's kind of what this seems like it's turned into, right? I mean, you're nothing's happening this time of year. You may get one more race. So it's a much bigger deal. So maybe that feeds into kind of the mentality and everyone there getting fit and racing serious.
Yeah, I think so. Everyone's, they're going all out. Definitely for this part two. Not that you leave anything on the table anyway, but I think, there wasn't sketchy. I mean, the riding was super clean, super safe. I don't think I shot a cone on the crit and managed to unclip and lift my leg over it as I was going over, but otherwise everyone was good. I don't think there was one little crash in the crit that happened behind me, but yeah, it was clean racing. So hopefully it'll stay that way for part two.
So I'll be curious, going back, you're going to have a time trial. Are you going to do just take it the opposite direction this time and not use any TT stuff, or what's your plan there?
Well, I mean, I would have to, I guess, buy or borrow a set of wheels that are only 50 millimeters deep to be able to run Mercs, because those wheels are 55s, and they were strict on 50.
Gotcha.
And I guess I could put out the plea now. If anyone has a TT bike collecting dust, that's a size 58, I'd be happy to leave a change for them. So
there you go. Okay,
yeah.
so thanks for the update. I mean, that's good to hear. We'll be interested. We'll check in again with you, I'm sure, as it progresses forward. What do you think about possibility of? It doesn't look like to me we're gonna, especially with Sea Otter and Nationals going away, I don't feel that USA Cycling or NorCal is going to even come back this year. I think you're going to see racing in Europe. Hopefully we'll get the UCI schedule and all that World Tour stuff down. But I don't think it's going to happen here in the US. What's your take? Or at least not the US, but I mean the NorCal.
Yeah, I mean, again, I hope it's not the case, but it seems like everything's kind of pointing towards, the last race of the year was the Merced Crit,
Right.
Which was back in March 12th or whatever it was. So
yeah, it's been a while now.
Yeah,
too bad.
Long time.
Right.
Yep.
Anything else you want to tell us about the race, or any cycling stuff related or anything else? I mean, if you want to delve into before we go.
Anything random? I had a colonoscopy yesterday.
Oh,
you want to go there?
Right. We can dig in, literally dig into that. Any results yet, or you're just on a high?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'm on a high because my weight went down, 168 or something. And it's back up to like 170 today, but
you got to eat,
man,
finally.
Yeah, I got to eat. Yeah, that fasting was long and hard, but fortunately, I don't have any memory of the experience other than I actually passed out when they put my my IV in my hand. So and my heart rate was resting 33, and everyone was freaking out, and the alarm was going off. And I'm like, I'm a cyclist, it's okay. That's all I remember. So
I don't know if and you're at least in the right spot. I had this curiosity, this heart issue that I wasn't quite sure about, and I'm getting checked, and that my wife was freaking out. And most of it, I think, was just the point is, I go into the doctor's office, and it was a really low heart rate, and they freaked out so bad they called the ambulance and sent me to ER. I'm like, no, this happens all the time, and they're like, no, some old man. I'm like, am I old man now?
Yeah.
I'm just an old man with a resting heart rate. So I'm glad you're at least already there for them to take care of, and hopefully your results come back great. So
yeah.
Well, okay, thanks. I appreciate you coming on. We'll check in once again with you. It's great going over this stuff. I mean, we don't have racing, so we'll take stroke pedal by pedal,
take what you can get.
Analysis. Yeah.
Stage by stage.
Right.
All right, man. Thanks.
You bet. I appreciate it. Take care.
All right. See ya.
Thanks, man.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.